Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Welcome back to Man City Unplugged, your very own Man City fan channel. Wow, what a contest we have got tomorrow. Tomorrow night, a physical Burnley side at Turf Moor. And also an informed Burnley side, I would say. How are we gonna tackle the physical threat? This is the first time our defense will be against two strikers. It will be a typical English threat. So it will be very interesting to see how we'll deal with this Burnley side. Also, I think going along this week is going to be really important for us. Burnley and then Liverpool and then Spurs. I think in a way I think there are few weeks that generally define the title race, and I think this is one of the act that is truly going to define who is going to have the momentum heading into that last 1-2 months. Like we had seen, City played Liverpool on the 2nd of January in 2019, and then City won. We got the momentum. We went on to win 14 matches and win the title. So this week, suppose if we slip up tomorrow, for example, then Liverpool will sense that okay, there is some weakness in the City side. Let us pounce on that. Because now Liverpool is on the upswing. This game, yes, it is about Burnley, but it is more about Liverpool than about Burnley, I would say. But let us just not fall into the trap that United had just fell the week before. All of their fans everywhere, in the media everywhere, it was talked about as if Sheffield United did not exist. It was talked about as if it was a it was talked about it was United playing Arsenal, and that is where the title depended. And then Sheffield United came to Man United and then beat them, and then the 3 points no one expected them to lose, and that was where the title race really turned around. So I think it's really important we have a firm focus on Burnley, and as we know, Pep as a manager, he will make sure that his team is just focused on the next game. But really, if you think about it, this is all about the game with Liverpool, and the game with Liverpool surprisingly will depend on how we perform against Burnley. If we show any slip ups, if we show any nerviness, tense moments, Liverpool are there to pounce on it. So let's first go through Pep's press conference, and then we'll go through the predicted lineup.
Thanks, Alex. Good afternoon, Pep. Can I start by asking about the fitness of your squad? You weren't sure, for example, how Sergio Aguero would react after having had COVID. Do you know where he's up to with regards to his fitness, or if he suffered any effects?
No, everything is fine. Everyone is fine except Nathan. And Sergio, now he needs his time. So when one guy suffered COVID, needs some weeks to feel better or feel ready.
Yesterday we saw a couple of your young players go out on loan.
So the first thing was about the injury update. Pep was telling that except Nathan Ake, I mean, in the last game before Sheffield United, obviously Pep told that it was Nathan Ake and Sergio Aguero, and there was news coming on that very afternoon that we were even discussing on this show that Aguero had given another COVID test and he was awaiting the results of it. So obviously, like Pep is telling, I think Aguero has tested negative and is available, he's ready. But then Pep is telling that he will need to have a couple of training sessions. I firmly feel this has been in a few news outlets as well that Aguero may be available for the Liverpool game on the bench. Couple of news outlets were discussing that Pep wants to have Aguero off the bench against Liverpool for at least 15-20 minutes at the end. That would be a really big turnaround. That would be the most impact substitution if Aguero is available in the title race, because Aguero coming on, Liverpool having a inexperienced defense, I would say, with news coming yesterday that Joel Matip is also out for the season, and Klopp talking today that Virgil van Dijk might not return in this season, and all of those defensive realities. So Liverpool having an inexperienced defense and Aguero coming on in the last 15-20 minutes, that would really prove to be a game changer in this title race, I would say. So except Nathan Ake, everyone's fit, and that's really good news. That's great news, I would say. Like I was discussing before, a week before we were discussing who could be the trump cards in this title race, unforeseen trump cards in this title race. And for me, when you come to Man City, I think it's Sergio Aguero with his experience of being in the title race before, the experience of scoring in those pressure moments. Aguero is a top class, he's the best number 9, best striker in the Premier League right now. So, I mean, best striker in the Premier League, all time best striker, not right now because in the injury period. So, that experience, that guile, that cunningness, especially when our midfielders, everyone, our creative players are working so well. Gundogan is at this point of time, I think, the best central attacking midfielder in the world based on form. Our midfield is really working very well. So just add Aguero to that and you can't just imagine what a beast will become. So let's continue with the press conference.
With Taylor Harvey-Bellis, for example, going to Blackburn, what is it specifically that you hope that will do for his development, and what will he learn by being at Blackburn for the rest of the season?
Playing a good competition and a good team, historical team with real opponents. And the academy, you know, for a short time is good, but it's not a good experience to grow as a player. So when he doesn't have a lot of minutes here in the first time, and he's already 2 seasons training with us. It's different than another young lads that are training every day with us, like it's the first season. So it's the best way to see him in a good competition, just in case we need him back.
And finally, for me, you made a little bit of history.
So Pep was talking about Taylor Harvey-Bellis. I mean, Pep was asked about the loan of Taylor Harvey-Bellis. As you know, yesterday the transfer window slammed shut and Taylor Harvey-Bellis was loaned out to Blackburn Rovers. So, you know, Pep, even after he came in the 2016 season, when he came, he was a bit surprised about how the under 23 teams, for example, the academy teams play in England compared to the way they play in Spain, because Pep Guardiola is thought of as one of the best coaches to bring youth through. He had brought a lot of youth through in Barcelona, the likes of Pedro, Sergio Busquets, all of those players. So Pep was asked, what can we do to bring more youth from the academy to the first team in Man City? And Pep was always telling he was dissatisfied with the way the under 23 games are played in the academies, for example, between the academy sides in England. He says that the division, that it is not competitive. So that's the reason why these young players are not able to make that step up to the first team. And I think this is a good step forward from City as well, sending a young player to the championship. Championship is where, you know, Pep has believed it from the first day that championship is where real men are made, because championship is physical. They have no mercy. You play a 19-year-old, for example, plays with a 32-year-old in a championship, whereas in under 23s you almost have the same age group playing together, even if you play against rival academies. So you don't get much exposure, you don't get much taste of first team football. But when you send someone to the championship, we have seen the likes of Dele Alli, for example, the likes of Aaron Moy, the likes of Jack Harrison, all of them have developed going to the championship. So that is what Pep expects from Harvey-Bellis, that especially as a centre back and playing against all of those physical sides in the championship and other lower leagues in the English division will really help him develop more, help him not just in his physical development but also in his mental development. You know, how does a 19-year-old play against a 30-year-old, 29-year-old experienced striker who's bang on form, who's physical? It's not always about physicality, it's about staying 2 steps ahead in the mind. When David Silva, for example, came first time to City, except Roberto Mancini, no one believed that, okay, this guy is so slim, is so short, no physicality, how will he survive in the English Premier League? Today he's a legend of the English Premier League. So he's one of the best creative attacking midfielders who have set foot in England. So David Silva was always 1 step ahead in the mind. You couldn't get near him, you couldn't tackle him. That's what Pep Guardiola wants these youngsters from the academy to learn. That's what he thinks will get them to the first team. Eric Garcia, his decision-taking skills, for example, are excellent, and that is one major factor why he has come up to the first team quite fast. And again, he was from Spain. He didn't train much in City's academies, maybe 1-2 years. And that's what Pep tells us the difference between academies in Spain and academies in England. You have great pitches, you play against the same under 23, same age group people, and it's not much competitive. Okay, you play on great AstroTurf pitches, the facilities are great, but that is not going to aid your development. What is going to aid your development is how are you going to get your feet dirty, how are you going to face that physical challenge against physical physical strikers, and that is what you're going to get in Championship. And Taylor Howard-Bellis, if he develops really well, I think he would be one of the best centre backs for City for the next 10, 11 years. He has great potential. Once he was even linked to being the next Vincent Kompany. So I wish that this move will really aid Taylor Howard-Bellis. He's really good in the air, but he just needs to learn that decision-making skills even more. Let us continue with the press conference.
In January by winning 9 matches in a row. It's the most successful month by any club in the history of English football. And I know you appreciate the history of football, so given that record goes all the way back to 1888, I just wonder, is it a record that's a little bit extra special for you?
So proud, not for me, for all the club, all the people working here. So especially in this year, like everyone is more difficult. Of course, we are so proud. It means if nobody has done before, it's how difficult it is, even in good moments, in incredible, huge clubs and teams have been in all history in England, be able to do it. But no, the target is not this. The target is arrive at the end of the Premier League, fighting for the titles, or for the Premier League. But when I realized what we have done, so it was, wow, it was so good. It's not easy win all the January month here in this country.
You know, when Pep was asked about that question, you should have gone and looked at his eyes. You know, they were filled with so much of gratitude, and that is what I think is really important for a coach. Having that gratitude, being grateful to all your, you know, all your players, all your fellow coaching staff, everyone in the club who has made this come true. Pep was asked about, I mean, City have won all the matches in January, and it seems it's a record in English top flight. No one has done it since 1888. So Pep was telling how grateful he is that his team has achieved it. It's his coaching staff's effort and all of that. But then Pep emphasized on the final goal, the final destination. The final goal is not to be perfect in January and then throw it away. The final destination is to go on till the end. The final destination is to go on and fight for the title till the last moment. We had, for example, United. They were unbeaten for an year, if I'm not wrong, in all the away games. But where did they finish? You see the positions, you see whether they're competing for the title or not. So Pep knows that all these records, all these accolades, that they're fine, but then there is the ultimate goal. At the end, as a manager, you're going to be judged upon your style of play, and also whether your style of play leads to any outcome or not, whether your style of play, you know, propels your team to fight towards the ultimate goal or not. How close is your team in competing for the title, in winning the title? So Pep knows all of it, and that's why he was grateful for it. But then he has emphasized more on the final goal. But then you should see the gratitude in his eyes. You know, that is one of the biggest qualities that makes Pep who he is, one of the greatest managers in football history, because he's so humble and he's so grateful for who he is. He's not bragging about anything, or he's not arrogant about anything, and things like that. He's grateful for all the people around him. He's grateful for the position he is in, and you should see that childlike enthusiasm in his eyes. That I want to win more. Let's just not stop with January. Let's do it in February. Let's do it in March. Let's go on and do it till the end, and then repeat it again. You know, that continuous sense of enthusiasm, how he keeps himself going. I think that is what makes him who he is. Let's continue the press conference.
Thank you, Ferris, please, guys.
Hi, Pat. Just on that level of consistency that you found over the course of the last 6 weeks or so, in a season which has been described as inconsistent for a lot of teams, is there a greater value to a period of consistency that you've had?
We were inconsistent during the season as well. So, and we will see how consistent still we are. But yeah, we prove in different type of games. Some games we were more comfortable. Some other games we fought until the last minute. So it cannot be another way. So yeah, if you tell me what's going to happen in the future, my future, you know, is Burnley. The rest we will see next one.
you spoke about Bernardo being back this week, and like him, John Stones has had a very good year after having a bit of a dip in form, and Ilkay's stepped up a gear as well, particularly. Have you said anything to them to help that happen? Is it a mental thing with them, a physical thing, or even a tactical thing that's helped them blossom again this season?
Everything is important, but I think to reach what we have reached these last 6 weeks, like you said, is everyone was involved and everyone played minutes. I'm a guy like rotate the players quite often. I'm not a big fan just start 11 play every week. First, because mental and physicality, no human being can sustain it if you pretend to be high level all the time, and that's why everybody was involved. The names you said is so good, yeah, definitely. But I think there are a lot of players who were involved in this run, in this period. Like we won a lot of games in a row.
Inconsistencies in the season. How is your team so consistent? But we were not consistent. We were written off about winning the title in October or November. Chelsea were supposed to win the title in November, then United were supposed to go on and win that. City were, after the derby against United, were supposed to have lost all the hunger. Pep was supposed to leave this season, so City had one of the most inconsistent starts to the season in the last 3-4 months. I don't know how the journalist was asking, what is success for your consistency and why are other teams inconsistent? We were more inconsistent than all the other teams, but then again, it's that mentality. Can you be there? It's that hunger. Even after 3 or 4 months of inconsistency, we had this in 2019 against Liverpool. We had a bad December, we had a bad November, but then we bounced back and went and won 14 in a row. I think that has been the biggest hallmark of this season, bouncing back from the inconsistencies, not bothering about the chatter of the media. Chelsea are champions, Spurs are champions, Leicester are champions. No, we know that we are there, and City started it against that Chelsea match. Even though City had very bad November, very bad December, they never lost that belief in themselves. I think this belief is something that will drive them towards the title, and that is what Pep was also telling. It's important, even if you are inconsistent, it's important to be really good mentally, to believe in yourself mentally. And Pep was also asked about Gundogan and Bernardo Silva and how they are in a high level. I think with Bernardo Silva, it's something really interesting. After the tweet against Mendy last season, Bernardo Silva was totally out of form. Towards the end of the window, there were talks that Bernardo will be sold and someone else will come to replace him. There were many names being floated around. But with Bernardo, I think it's more about being a confidence player. He needs 3 or 4 games to come and affect matches, and Bernardo was not given those games at the start of the season, especially because Mahrez was in great form at the end of last season and also the starting of this season as well. But Mahrez's form slowly tailed off because he was not keeping the ball well. Then Bernardo came, that hit which Bernardo stuck against Aston Villa. I think that was the marker for Bernardo that he is back, because Bernardo was not shooting enough as well. When you see Bernardo, how is he in form? Is he confident enough to dribble with the ball? Is he confident enough to take long shots? He was not doing both of them actually early on in the season until a month ago, until the match against Aston Villa. So Bernardo is bang on back in form. Now he's carrying the ball against Aston Villa. I saw he carried the ball. He dribbled past 3 or 4 players. The last match he dribbled past 3 or 4 players. So Bernardo is bang on form. The Ilkay Gundogan was the most surprising thing. Not just for us. The entire league was surprised by his upsurge in form. People said De Bruyne is gone and City is gone. United are on a surge. Liverpool are coming back. City can't play without De Bruyne. They don't have a number 9. Now they don't have De Bruyne. What are they gonna do? Ilkay Gundogan, you should remember that he was Pep Guardiola's first signing. there are certain qualities of Gundogan, he has that sense of goal. Whenever you see Pep talk, whenever I talk to City fans, they passionately talk about, Gundogan makes those surging runs forward. He's always there. He has that sense of a number 9, attitude of a number 9, but he has defensive qualities of a central midfielder as well. That is what makes Gundogan unique. He doesn't give away the ball much, and he picks his movements. It's so important to pick your movements. Those decision making skills are what really put Gundogan on the top. And with Gundogan's upsurge in form, it has meant that Pep Guardiola could play that false 9. He was playing that false 9 before with Ferran Torres, not working. Raheem Sterling. With Raheem Sterling, the number 9 never, the false 9 never works. There is a big reason for that, because Raheem, he always looks to run in behind. He never looks to come short and take the ball. But now with Gundogan, he knows when to come short and take the ball. He knows when to fluidly switch with Phil Foden or Riyad Mahrez or whoever is playing, and when to make those runs. Raheem Sterling is always looking to make those runs. I think those are the main qualities which have led to City's upsurge in form. You see what has happened against Chelsea. Gundogan took it upon himself and went on, made those runs and scored the goal. I think the form of Gundogan and Bernardo Silva are what will carry City towards the title. Against Liverpool in 2019, what happened? Bernardo Silva, great game against Liverpool, went on, helped City win 14 games in the title. Bernardo Silva for me is the next thing which comes close to David Silva. So I think it's really important that Bernardo Silva has this form going. And let us continue press conference.
On the element of consistency that you've had against Burnley, I think you've won 11 of the 12 games that you've played against Burnley. Is there something about the way that you set up and the way that they set up that benefits you?
Always, I think, before a play against Burnley, especially away, I never think will be easy. The players know it. It's a special team. They know. They play together with the same manner with the Sean Dyche for a long, long time ago. They know exactly what they have to do, and what they do really well. So with the same answer, the same question all the time. In football and sport, what you have done in the past is nothing. When you are beaten, and even when you will lose against them, is the past as well. So every time is a new chance, a new challenge to do, first of all, a good game, to control the aspects and try to beat them. So what happened in the past, I don't pay zero attention. Is how are the players right now, today, especially tomorrow. What do you have to do to beat them? See them in the last games, when beating in Anfield, when against Fulham, when take a good results against Aston Villa, for example, at home. So that is only I'm concerned. What happened in the past is past.
Thank you.
I was just thinking today morning, how can City keep this run going in January? I mean, how can the City keep this January run going for the next months as well? And I was just thinking, it's really important for us not to dwell too much on the past, as Pep was emphasizing here. You've won titles in the past, you've won matches in the past, but the past does not win you new matches. Tomorrow against Burnley, you have to start from 0-0. Football is a game, any game. It's a new day. You have to start from 0-0, you have to fight it out. It's going to be a big physical battle. So too many teams, they have gone on big runs. You can take United as an example, excellent away run, but then they tend to fall off. Just an example. It's not that I'm on to United or something. So it's really important that you take inspiration from the past, but the past means nothing. Tomorrow is a new game, and you've seen many teams in this league fall prey to what they have done in the past, and not concentrate and think that if I turn up for tomorrow's game, I'll just win the game. That's not how world works. That's not how sport works. And that is what makes Pep a remarkable manager. You can tell that, if you give any manager, Messi, Ronaldinho, Iniesta, Xavi, Thomas Muller, Lewandowski, they can win titles. No. How do you keep the hunger of those players going? They are the players who have won Champions Leagues in the past. How they have won titles in the past. How do you, keep them motivated for the next day, keep them inspired for the next game? game against small oppositions? How do you make them believe that a small and a big opposition is the same? What do you think will be the frame of mind of these City players? Will they be concentrated on Burnley, or will they be concentrated on Liverpool and Spurs? Obviously the concentration will be on Liverpool. They're human beings. It's up to a manager. How do you make them concentrated on Liverpool? That is where I think Pep is a remarkable manager. Whatever people say about him, blank checkbook, this and that. No, even if you have a blank checkbook, not many managers can make their team inspired and play the same kind of football, same style of football against a Burnley as well as against a Liverpool. Treat two opponents who are at two different spectrums of the table the same. That is what separates Pep from all the other managers, and that is what is going to drive City towards the title. These words from Pep really fill me with confidence that we are ready for Burnley tomorrow. Let us continue with the press conference.
Simon Stone, please, guys.
Hiya, Pep. You got that 500 career victory at the weekend. Where does the drive come from to keep going and going and going? You win so often, yet you still seem to be keen on winning.
I don't know. So especially because the players are good, the clubs where I've been were and is so good, and this is the only reason. And all athletes and sports guys prefer to win than lose. So you lose better when you win, and the people say, well, you win a lot and after you are tired. It's completely the opposite. When you win, it's so addictive, and you want to win again and win again and win again. Comes from there. And when you win titles, said, okay, it's enough to you want more, and comes from there. So to beat the opponent.
Are you almost scared of losing because you win so often? You don't like the feeling.
Yeah, always I had that feeling that I can lose that game. That make me. When you ask me drive, what you drive you mainly is this kind of situation. Upon the security and fear and scary, like I can lose that game, and that's why I need to work more and everyone's and it's the same. So why should I stop if you are able to win? Why should not do what you have to do to win a game? So it comes from there. No more secrets.
This is not just true in football, but it is true in life as well. To win at something, you need to you need to respect defeat. You need to be okay with losing as well. You need to accept that it will be fine even if I lose. Loss should not hurt me. What matters is the process. And Pep has always been saying throughout the career, and he has emphasized this as well in this press conference, though he has not said directly, it's the process that is important. You win or you lose, it doesn't matter. You can't afford you can't afford to think about the outcome more. You need to concentrate on the process. That's why I always say I don't want City to win the title, or I will not say City will not win the title. What I want is I want City to fight for the title. Every game, give your 100%, fight for every ball. Show that okay, you have stuck 30 shots and the goalkeeper has a worldie and you lose the game, or you draw the game, or you lose the game with a wonder strike. It doesn't matter because you have given 100%. You have respected the process. It's okay to lose in that way. Such kind of defeats fill you with confidence, and that is the reason why Pep Guardiola has grown so much as a coach. Even though he is losing, even though he is winning, he respects the process. I will play my way. I'll play in my possession tiki-taka way. I'll pass it around. When he came to England, people said, this league is physical. You have to kick the ball up. You have to put two strikers at front. You can't. This is not Barcelona. This is not La Liga or Bundesliga. Here the game is physical, fast. Referees allow a lot of fouls. Pep said no, and he faced defeat in his first season, and people said no, this is not how the game is played in England. But today you see every team, right from Sheffield United, which is at the bottom, to the topmost team, which is City, Liverpool, everyone pass out from the back. This shows us when you have belief. Even in life, this is very much true. If you have belief in your philosophy, in your process, even though the world tells you it's not possible, if you stick to it, you can really create wonders in the world. You can change the way things are done, and that is what Pep has emphasized so much in this press conference. Let's move on with it.
manager as it was as a player, though?
Sorry, I thought.
Can it ever be as good winning as a manager as
No.
it was when you were a player?
The pleasure for the player is incomparable. So I would change. I would change right now to be a football player. At the football player, you share it with your mates and the moments of training session, the locker room. The manager you have to a staff, it's okay, but you cannot, celebrate it in different way. And especially because at the moment, the 90 minutes, we can shout, we can move our arms, so we can, but our influence is so minor. So I had the feeling when I had the ball in my feet, someone said, oh, now I can control the game. Now I had the feeling I can decide what's happening. Outside, you cannot. So the pleasure to play football is incomparable. So to be a manager. It just, I would say it is a way to continue to be involved in this lovely game. In other side, but I would change right now to have 20 years less to still play football.
Go to James Savundja, please, guys.
Pep tells this that he would change to be a footballer and all, but then you should observe Pep on the touchline when he makes a tactical change and it works. The way he celebrates with the coaching staff, I think that gives him as much joy as when he was playing a central defensive midfielder and he was controlling the match and he was helping his team win. Yes, that adrenaline rush when you win games, you would always, of course, like to be a player than a manager, but then tactically when you set your team up and when you find weaknesses in the opponent, I think even that gives as much pleasure. Should be, otherwise what would drive Pep to wake up so early in the morning every day in and day out, and work on these tactics. What drives him, the passion and everything, it must excite him in the same way as it would have excited him when he was a player as well. Let's continue with the press conference. I think the questions in the press conference are not more towards the Burnley game than towards the records, the 500 matches which Pep won. People are keen to know what drives him, how is he so passionate about in this job which is so demanding. We have seen Lampard sacked, we have seen many people sacked. Many managers are Andre Villas Boas has gone, and how he has been able to remain at the top in such a pressure cooker situation for so much time. Barcelona isn't easy, even though you have Messi. The bigger the players you have, more the responsibility you have actually of delivering the results. Zidane is realizing that, for example. So people are in a way intrigued to know more about it than about the Burnley game. There has only been one question, surprisingly, about the Burnley game, but let's see.
Pep, it's been an incredible run when you think about it, 12 victories in a row, but are you excited by the fact that there is still room to improve with this squad?
Absolutely. With the 6 weeks ago, so we are not contenders for anything, and 6 weeks later we are contender. Anything can change so quick in this. So we can drop points, 5 points in 3 days. And it happen other teams can happen to you immediately. So only I'm concerned about Burnley, not in the runs we have done, not in the runs we have to achieve. So just Burnley. That's all.
You've been on some incredible runs though yourself as a player and a manager. What is the key to keeping it going? Is it a case of just taking one game at a time from what you said in your last answer?
Absolutely. When you start to think about it, the next 4, 5, 6 fixtures, you will draw points between these 4, 5, 6 fixtures. So it's a Shondike team. Only I'm concerned and see what you have to do, take a good selection and win the game.
Have there been any times in your career as a player or manager where you have made the mistake of thinking too far ahead?
Yeah, in the beginning, yeah, a little bit, but I learn quick. So I'm not thinking for the next one before the. Absolutely not.
And just final question from me, Pep. How much of a boost has it been having Sergio back on the training field this week?
But there's still no training in the field, so start to move a little bit yesterday. So he will need a few weeks to come back. But it's important that, especially is negative. This is the most important thing. He's healthy again, and now come back again. But of course, it's important for us to have him here back. Of course.
Goes to Bill Rice for the embargo, please, guys. Sorry, Bill, we can't hear you. I can see you're off mute. Is there anything you can do at your end?
Hiya, Pep.
There we go.
It's been an incredibly inconsistent season because of the pressures involved, and yet your team in recent weeks seems to have found that consistency. I just wonder if you think you can keep that going and repeat the incredible consistency you had 2 years ago over the rest of this season, or is a dip at some point inevitable?
It's barley. The consistency is barley. No more than that. When we were winning a lot of games in a row in the past, never thought how many games we have to win in a row. We just thinking next one. I don't think for 1 second how many games we have to win to be still there. So barley, win this game. And if you win, celebrate it that night, think the next one. The good teams, when they are in the shower after a good victory, are thinking in the next one. This is the good teams, the good mentality. So, and we celebrate it now more than ever in a normal way, calm, and think in the next one. This is the only way.
No, it was all about consistency. How long can you keep this win going? You know that is one of the major fears which people have about City. You know, you're on this 12 match winning streak. This run has to come to an end at some point. So when will this run come to an end? It's at the back of your mind always. When Arsenal were invincibles after that season, for example, they knew this win had to come to an end at some point. United feared the same. For example, Liverpool feared the same, and that they were winning at Anfield for 3 years. It had to come to an end. Now it's the same fear for the City team as well. For how long will City be able to sustain this run? Then there's one key important factor which separates that Invincibles team, that defeat of Liverpool at Anfield, and this City team. This City team, if you see, there is competition for every place. You see Jesus, now we have Aguero coming back. Sterling is not a guaranteed starter. No one in this team is a guaranteed starter, maybe except Diaz. Even Diaz also, if he has a 1 or 2 poor games, Laporte comes in. So no one's is a guaranteed starter in this lineup. So you know, when you have competition for places, that is what makes good teams great. That is what keeps great teams going on that run consistently. You know, it's really important to have competition for places. That one might come to an end, might not come to an end, but if you have competition for places, so each player is trying to perform much more better than the other player. Each one is, it's not a kind of competition. Each one in the training is trying to make the other better in a way. They're able to develop that companionship. Okay, because of him, I can get better. Let me see what I can learn from him. In a similar way, even the other player thinks, how can I become better than my competitor? So in a way, when you're helping each other become better in a team, then teams like that are really difficult to beat, because teams like that form a really close bond between each other, because now players are not fighting for a spot. In fact, players are, looking to make each other better. And I think that is really key to City, keeping on this run going. There is competition for places, and Pep makes 3 or 4 changes in every match. That is why Pep makes a lot of changes in every match. Pep has told people can sustain it physically and all, but the real reason is, to keep that competitive mentality going, to keep that winning hunger mentality going. A lion will lose its ferocity to prey if you give it prey easily. But each day, if it goes on the hunt, if it has to work hard, it will develop more ferocity. It will develop more hunger in it. So that is what Pep really wants to do with this team. Even though we are on this winning run, he wants to make us more and more hungry to cover up even those small little mistakes, to pepper over those small cracks. Now that's the press conference. Let us talk about the game's preview tomorrow. I think, there's a big surprise here. I think Benjamin Mendy is going to start tomorrow, if you can see it, left back. There's a reason for this. I think Benjamin Mendy has been kept on the bench for so long. I think against Liverpool, will Pep start Benjamin Mendy? For me, that is a big question, because Liverpool's defense is really thin and Trent leaves a lot of space down that side, So if you can just double down on that space. Yes, Pep has told Burnley in this press conference, but I'll tell you why I'm talking about the Liverpool game. So Trent leaves a lot of space down that side, and if Mendy can go on and put some great crosses in that, in that space, you know, it would just be that you pounce on all of Liverpool's weaknesses. They don't have a good defense, so those three, Trent, Jordan Henderson on that side, and Kabak or whoever starts on that side, very inexperienced. So Pep will look to pounce on that. For that, Mendy could be really crucial. And if Mendy has to start that Liverpool game, for me, he has to start this Burnley game at least for 50-60 minutes just to keep him going. Can't just throw him at the deep end in that Liverpool game, and also in that Spurs game. Spurs will be sitting down rigidly, so do you need a Benjamin Mendy in that game to break down the rigid Spurs defense? His crosses, should still remember that, okay, he's been shit defensively of late, but should still remember that Benjamin Mendy is one of the excellent crosses of the ball in world football. You put a crossing machine and even the machine can't deliver crosses as accurately as Mendy does when it is at his best. So it's really important to bring Mendy up to that level in big games. Think Mendy might be a hidden trump card, I would say. By the way, I have Mendy in my fantasy team as well. So a little bit on the lighter side, it will be really good. I'll have one up on all my rivals as well if Mendy plays in tomorrow's game. But jokes apart, so if Pep has any intention of Mendy having a career at City, I think he starts tomorrow. It's a big call, but yes, he starts tomorrow because David Alaba is available at for free. Cancelo has been playing well. Zinchenko has been playing well on that left hand side. There are talks of Hakimi being available. So tomorrow's game is gonna decide whether Mendy really has a career at City or not. People might think it's a bit long-sighted, but I do think, because if he doesn't play tomorrow, he doesn't play in the important games against Liverpool and Spurs. And then the defense and the goalkeeper, of course, they pick themselves Diaz, and I think Laporte will be given a day off. I mean, it's not being given a day off. You know, Laporte will go back to the bench because Stones has done nothing wrong. I would be really surprised if Pep put in Laporte in the place of Diaz to put Diaz in ready for the Liverpool game. We should not do that mistake, you know. Diaz is a great organizer, especially in a game when you have people like Dwight McNeil down that left hand side. So it's really important, and Burnley rely very well on set pieces. You know, they have excellent set piece specialists and set piece deliveries. They are very physical, and Burnley play a 4-4-2. So it's really excellent, the communication with the other centre back. And would I prefer Laporte or would I prefer Diaz alongside Stones? I would prefer Diaz alongside Stones. Otherwise, play Diaz, Laporte. But Laporte should be the constant, and Stones has done nothing wrong. And also, just a minor observation, Laporte had a solid game against Sheffield United, but I somehow feel that John Stones is better one-on-one, because in the 70th minute, 80th minute, for example, I had seen that Laporte got skinned once or twice one-on-ones. I just feel that, you know, Laporte is an excellent centre-back. I still feel that Laporte is the best left-footed centre-back in the league. I mean, in world football, best left-footed centre-back in world football. But then, you know, dealing with those near-post crosses, dealing with one-on-ones, John Stones is much, much better than Laporte, I would say. I would not say much better, but is 20% better than Laporte. I have rarely seen John Stones being skinned. Early on, Anthony Martial he has great close control. In that Carabao Cup match, he was one-on-one with Stones, and Stones showed him onto the weak foot and eased him off the ball slowly, and the ball went out of play. Those things I don't see from Laporte. So I think that is one minor area where Laporte needs to improve. Look at this. How do you keep that winning run going? Bring in more competition in the side. Now you have John Stones doing really well, Diaz doing really well. We are highlighting all of those small things which Laporte needs to work on and get even more better. Cancelo for me starts on the right hand side. The reason being we need more creativity. It's going to be a rigid 4-4-2 system with everyone sitting back mostly, at least for the first 60-70 minutes, and then Sean Dyche is going to roll the dice. So I think Cancelo is needed. His runs into the midfield, his crossing the ball, his creativity is needed. So, and also there's no one with great speed in Burnley. So Kyle Walker should have a rest because he's just come back from injury, and we need him for the Liverpool game. The game against Liverpool is, you know, Klopp has rested Mane, so we need to rest Walker here. It's going to be a great foot race against Liverpool. It's going to be playing with speed against Liverpool, so we need to rest our speed gun, and that is Kyle Walker. So Cancelo plays for me, and Cancelo is rested. Pep has rotated beautifully. And against Spurs, I think, yeah, Spurs definitely we need Walker. So, and I don't think, because to deal with the pace of Son and everybody, and Bergwijn and Gareth Bale if he plays. So if Walker plays tomorrow, I don't see Walker playing 4 games in a row. So Walker's definitely not playing tomorrow. I would be very surprised if Walker starts tomorrow. So it's Cancelo. And then in the midfield, of course, Fernandinho can't have 2 games in a row, so it's Rodri. That's the usual choice. And Rodri has improved quite a lot against Sheffield United in the last minutes. When he came on in the last 10 minutes, especially when Sheffield United were threatening, I almost thought they got a goal. So Rodri was excellent in his decision making. He was fantastic in the way he was defending his box physically, the way he was, protecting the ball. He was wasting time and all of those things. He was making those small niggling fouls. Rodri has learnt a lot. The only one thing is, in an attacking sense, if we can switch the play even more in a defensive sense, Rodri for me has progressed really well. He has progressed a lot from what I've seen in the last 2 seasons. In the last season, he was not that good defensively, though he was not that mobile. His positional sense was not good. Often he couldn't shield the back two really well, but this season he's been like a rock over there. I think it's just about confidence. Rodri was just settling in last season, and I do feel now we have been going too heavily on them. What, Rodri is 25, 26, coming to a new country, young player. CDMs come into their prime only at 29, 30. So a young player, think it was inevitable that we had to give him more time to settle in. And Rodri is just, I think he's now in the top 3, top 4 CDMs in the entire league, easily for me. Just if he can get that switch of play even better, and he can just cut out those nibbling counter attacks, make those nibbling fouls, which Fernandinho does excellently. I think Rodri is there in the long term for City. Gundogan, what else to say about this guy? Gundogan has been excellent, and as I'll be really surprised by what system Pep plays. Will he play with Jesus as an out and out striker, or would he play with Gundogan and Jesus as a false 9? Playing with an out and out striker, then I think Sterling might not start on the right. Might be Mahrez or Ferran Torres might start on the right. But there's a big problem with this. If you play Jesus as an out and out striker, is he physical enough to deal with the Burnley threat? If you put in crosses into the box, Burnley will defend narrow tomorrow, I'm very sure, and they will leave all the spaces and they'll say, we'll deal with what all crosses will come inside the box. So I think the only way to go through that rigid Burnley defense that is in form, is to move them here and there, to confuse them, to bamboozle them. And for that, I think it is really imperative to play Jesus as a false 9, and then rotate Jesus among Sterling and Torres and Gundogan, and move everything fluidly. So I think it's really important that City play false 9 tomorrow, as you can see in the formation I've put out. And Bernardo Silva again, he's the man bang in form. And an excellent thing about 3 of our midfielders, I would say, is all 3 have got an excellent long shot on them. So tomorrow Burnley will mostly say, they will crowd the box and they'll mostly say, take shots from outside. And Nick Pope, he is one of the best keepers around in the league and is in form. They'll say Nick Pope will save it. And I think that is another added dimension to City, which we didn't quite have in the last season and the season before, even when we got those 100 points. I think scoring from outside the box, how many people had we scoring from outside the box? Maybe De Bruyne. Fernandinho used to rarely shoot, but now we had Gundogan, excellent shot. He takes even free kicks for City. Bernardo Silva, excellent shot. You should see Rodri, what kind of a shot he has got. Cancelo doesn't scare away from taking a shot. Every match he takes 3 or 4 shots, and his shots are precise. They are very technical. He looks to put the shots in the top corner. So that is another added threat. So with this threat, teams are not knowing whether to defend deep. If you defend deep, Gundogan is gonna score from outside the box, as Crystal Palace found out, as Aston Villa found out. So or if you cover up the midfielders, you're gonna leave space for the attackers to run in behind. So it's gonna be a big test for teams, not just Burnley, and how do they deal with new added dimension of City's threat. and then Foden on the left. I was just thinking, is Pep gonna rest Foden? I think Foden, if I'm not wrong, has started all the 3 games, and Foden has to start against Liverpool and Spurs. That's one thing. I think I've got it a bit wrong in the lineup. Maybe Ferran Sterling goes onto the left and Ferran Torres again starts onto the right, or Mahrez starts onto the, on the right, I would say. So I think Foden definitely needs a rest. I started him because I felt that again momentum is the key in this season, and Foden and City, we know how to rest on the ball, and Foden is so young, just 20 years old. So I think that it is. So I had always thought that okay, Foden could play 3 games in a row even if he had started the last 3 games, and Pep could substitute Foden in the first 40-50 minutes, just as he had done Gundogan and Cancelo in that West Brom game. So for me, at least for me, Foden starts, and ideally if City really go a few goals up, we bring off Foden in the 55th minute, and then we look towards that Liverpool game. But then let's not just concentrate on that Liverpool game. It's important to focus on the game in hand, the Burnley game. Let's not do the mistake what United did against Sheffield United. They behaved as if Sheffield didn't exist, and they showed them who they are, and they really put United into their place. Gabriel Jesus, for me, it's imperative that who starts or who doesn't start, Jesus starts. He has hit a goal. Jesus needs confidence. He is gonna start in that Liverpool game for sure, and we need a confident Jesus in that Liverpool game. We need a Jesus who takes snapshots. Jesus, is one of the best exponents of taking snapshots, of maneuvering the ball inside the box. It's just that he's a confidence player. If we can, get that confidence back, if we can be really strong in the box, if we can be confident about striking the ball, then I think we'll be in a perfect position for that Liverpool game. And for that, Jesus needs to start. Good, he had got a goal against Sheffield United in the last match. Now his confidence should be more. And with Aguero also looming on a return, I think Jesus will know that he needs to pick up his game. In fact, in an interview, he was saying that, yes, I need to pick up my game. I know one of the legends, all-time legends in the Premier League and in world football, Aguero is on the verge of return, so I need to up my game more. And he said that he was fine with again competing, because he said that helps me evolve more. The way I've competed against Aguero for the spot, it made me a better player. Now I'm able to take up those positions in the box. I had not only competed with Aguero, but also learned how to take up those near post positions, far post positions in the box. And now you see his positions are really good. He knows when to make that movement and when to stay still. One of the biggest arts of Sergio Aguero is when to make the moments and when to stay still. And that is what Jesus has really developed, come along in the last 4, 5 months, 6 months, or the course of this season. And Raheem Sterling, for me, it's a no-brainer. Sterling is starting the next 3 games. Unless Pep has got some tactical things, or because Sterling hasn't scored in Anfield and all of that. Other than that, Sterling is starting for me the next 3 games. That is the reason he was rested the previous game. We need Sterling back at his best. Sterling has been a little bit low on confidence. He has missed the last 3 penalties, but had a tap in that game against West Brom. So I think Sterling is slowly getting back to his best. But it's important that we have Sterling at his best, because the way he can run at players, the way he can drag defenses, we don't have anyone quite like that actually in our team. So if you ask me my prediction, I would say my prediction is 4-0 tomorrow. My prediction is 4-0 with City again maintaining another clean sheet. And the most critical point will be, how do we deal with Dwight McNeil and is putting the crosses into the box? How we deal? Let us not again give set pieces. We have done an excellent one. Not conceded almost any set pieces to West Brom. 1 corner to Sheffield United. Maybe one free kick and 1 corner. Let's not concede any extras in any set pieces to Burnley as well. I really hope that we go and give our all in tomorrow's game. This week is going to be one of the most important acts in this title race. Can we get it really together? We are getting our act together, but can we focus? Can we maintain that laser sharp focus and show the league, send a message to the league? What will happen is, if we really do well in this week, it will send a message to the league that City are untouchable. It will tell the league that fear City, again will create that fear factor when teams are coming out in the tunnel. After that Centurion season, what I observed was when teams are coming out of the tunnel, they lost the game there. They knew that, okay, these people are untouchable. We are not gonna score goals against them. Diaz Stones at the back. So how can you get goals against them? So if City can get through this week unscathed, rivals will be really afraid. Rivals will be really worried. How do we beat this team? Solid at the back, which was a traditional weakness for City, and exceptional at the front. We have cutting edge, great attacking players at the front. So let's go on with that mentality and put Burnley to rest tomorrow. And then take our focus towards Liverpool. But it's really important to respect Burnley tomorrow. I think tomorrow's game is going to dictate the entire week for us. It's going to send a message to Liverpool and then to Spurs. Well, that we are ready, we are on the prowl. We will not give any sort of leviances. We will not be merciful. We are going to hunt you down for the title. We are going to give it our all. So my prediction is 3-0. Let me know in the comments below what is your prediction. And also, if you have liked the video, please click on the like button, and also please click on the subscribe button and the bell icon, so that you will get updates and notifications whenever I put out a new video. I'll come back to you with a review of the match against Burnley. Hopefully we give our all and do really well.